Hi everybody and welcome back to U University. I'm Dr. Kelly. Well, my semester's going well so far. This is the third week and I'm really enjoying my classes. This past weekend, I went to a knitting retreat hosted by my friend Anne. It's the Timber Ridge Knitting Retreat and I've talked about it on previous videos. It's at my friend Anne's farm, which is about a half an hour away from my house. And this time we had a group of maybe 10 people. Sometimes we have a lot more, sometimes we have less. And this time we had a smaller group. Either way, it's fabulous. We had people knitting and spinning. It was a wonderful, relaxing day. The weather was beautiful, sunny, and relatively warm for January. I didn't even wear my winter coat. We had great food, and the best part was catching up with everyone that I don't get to see very often. So that's what I did on Saturday. And speaking of knitting retreats, I wanted to let everybody know that I've opened up registration for the knitting summer camp in northern Minnesota, which will be the first week in June. I talked about this in one of my videos a few months ago, and now we are finally ready to take reservations. There are only a limited number of cabins available, so there's space for less than 20 people. The summer camp will run from June 2nd to 9th. The cost is $650 per person, and that's for 7 nights in a cabin. The cabins are 2 to 3 bedrooms, and each person will have their own room. You'll share a bathroom in a cabin with 1 or 2 other people. Most are 2-bedroom cabins. If you want to share a cabin with one of your friends, you can do that. Just indicate their name on the registration form. And if you're coming by yourself, that's okay too. We will just match you up with someone to be your cabin mate. This is in northern Minnesota, and the cabins are rustic. There is electricity and running water, but no internet unless you go into town. And the cell phone service is kind of spotty. So if you're interested in really getting away from it all for a week of knitting by a beautiful lake, you're going to love this. There won't be any vendors selling yarn or project bags, no yarn crawls. There won't be any classes to take, but there will be nature walks every day and plenty of time to decompress, just hang out with friends and knit or crochet, weave, spin, whatever you want. So this is really about anti-consumerism and taking time to relax and escape the stress of everyday life. Get away from the phones, the computers, and just unwind. Now, if you want more information, go to uuniversity.com/camp. There you will see pictures of the cabins and the lake, and there's a lot more information about what to bring and what to expect. And you can download the registration form to fill in. Plus it has instructions for how to pay and all that. So I hope to see you at our knitting summer camp in June. I wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone who has sent me a letter or card or even email lately. I think I'm all caught up with email and I'm working on responding to all of this lovely correspondence. So thank you. And if you're interested in writing to me, all of my contact information is in the information box below. I always love hearing from you. Okay, so let's get into the show for today. First, I have a useful tool to review for you, and then I'm going to continue my Big Box Bargain series and talk a little more about budget-friendly yarns. Today's topic is sock yarn, and I know a lot of you had said you're interested in looking at affordable sock yarns from the craft stores, so hopefully you'll find this to be helpful. And let's get right into it. Okay, today's interesting find is a tool related to sock knitting, which I've had for quite a while now. But I thought this would be a good tool to take a look at this week since sock knitting is kind of a theme of this video. This tool is called the sock ruler, and what this does is you can insert it into a sock as you're knitting it to take measurements. So for example, you can measure the length of the cuff or the length of the foot from the heel to where you need to start decreasing for the toe, or the distance from the toe to the start of the heel. Here's an insert from the package which shows examples of how you can use the sock ruler to measure the length of the foot from the heel and measure the leg and heel flap. The sock ruler can be used for either cuff down or toe up socks, and it gives a little more accurate measurement than using a tape measure because it's measuring from the inside of the sock, which is where the foot's going to be. You can also use it for other things like hats and mittens as well. The sock ruler is made of flexible but sturdy plastic. Could you break it? Well, probably if you forced it and folded it in half. But aside from mishandling, for general use, I don't think it's in danger of being damaged. The measurements start at the curved end, which is perfect for slipping into the heel of your sock, and it lays flat, which helps with accuracy in measurement. Now, the sock ruler comes in 3 different sizes: adult, child, and infant. This is the adult size, and it is 3 1/4 inches wide and measures foot size up to 25 centimeters or 9 3/4 inches. I don't have the child or infant rulers, but we'll insert a picture of them here. The child size measures up to 15 centimeters or 5 3/4 inches, and the infant size measures up to 11 centimeters or 4 1/4 inches. As far as cost, the adult sock ruler runs about $12, but I found it on sale at Interweave for $9.99, so that's a couple dollars off right now. I'm not sure how long it'll be on sale, but I'll put a link down below so you can go over there and check it out if you're interested in getting one. Now, the child size and infant size come as a set called the Sock Ruler Junior, and the cost is about $16. I haven't seen that set on sale anywhere, but I'll include a link below so you can take a look if you're interested in purchasing that. So again, this is the sock ruler, a handy tool for measuring your socks and other projects. Today in the classroom, I'm going to talk about some reasonably priced sock yarns from the big box stores. In last week's video, I discussed self-striping yarns from the big box stores and asked if anyone would be interested in seeing more information about budget-friendly yarns. And boy, everyone was so enthusiastic about wanting to hear more. The answer was a resounding yes. We want more about yarns that are less expensive and more accessible to people. Many of you said these are the yarns you use on a regular basis for all of your knitting. So I'm continuing my series on big box bargains, and today's focus will be on sock yarns. So a few weeks ago, I went shopping at Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, and Walmart and picked up some yarns that I thought would be good ones that I would like to try out for, in this case, making socks with. Today I'm going to review 6 sock yarns that are available for purchase at the big box craft stores. Now, first up is one that I already had in my stash, and this is Peyton's Kroy socks. And the company pronounces its name Peyton's, not Patton's. If you go to their YouTube channel, you can hear that they pronounce it Peyton's themselves. Peyton's is a Canadian company. Anyway, I had 2 different colorways in my stash. This one is called Lavender Jacquard, and this one is called Cameo Colors, which I'm actually using to make a sock with. Now, this yarn, I wouldn't call it super soft. It's squishy, and it's not prickly or anything, but you can tell that it's got wool in it and that it's going to be a sturdy yarn. If you are familiar with higher end yarns like Opal and Regia, the Peyton's Kroy sock yarn reminds me of the feel of these. The composition of Peyton's Kroy socks is 75% superwash wool and 24% nylon, which is exactly the same as Regia and Opal. It's easy care, machine washable, and tumble dry. Now, like I said, I do have some Opal sock yarn and some Regia sock yarn, and I thought that I would do a little comparison here. In comparing Peyton's Kroy to Opal and Regia, which hopefully you can see in this picture, the Kroy looks a little thicker and more loosely spun than the other two. The recommended needle size as indicated on the yarn label, is a US size 3 or 3.25 millimeter. So the Peyton's Kroy might be considered a heavy fingering weight yarn, and that's something to be mindful of when you're planning projects with it. Now I'm knitting these Kroy socks on my usual US size 1 or 2.25 millimeter needles, and it is making a very thick substantive fabric. I mean, they are going to be nice durable socks. But if you want a little looser gauge, go up a needle size or 2 for this yarn. For socks, the Peyton's Kroy is a great yarn. The cost is around $5 per skein, regular price, and you can get it at Joann's and Michael's. Keep in mind you will need 2 skeins to make an average size pair of adult socks, because each skein is only 50 grams and 166 yards. So each skein will only make 1 regular size sock. On the positive side, the yarn is sturdy and it's easy care. On the other hand, in my experience with it, it does tend to have knots in it. So, as an example, on these socks I only had finished this much of the cuff, like not even an inch of the cuff, and there was a break in the yarn. I looked at ratings of this yarn on several different websites, and it is generally getting 4 to 5 star ratings everywhere I saw. People love the colors. Those who had made a lot of socks with it say they're very durable and wear well. They like that you can throw the socks into the washer and dryer and they hold up. The few people who gave it low ratings say the yarn didn't feel as soft as they wanted, or there were lots of knots in it. So those are some things to be mindful of. Now Peyton's Kroy comes in 20 different or over 20 colorways, and there are several different styles of the yarn. One is called jacquards, and this term comes from the weaving vocabulary. In weaving, a jacquard is an intricate pattern with lots of little sections of color change. So you can see on these socks made from Kroy jacquard that you get stripes, but also some tiny patterning that looks like color work. And then another style of Kroy sock yarn is the FX, and that's the yarn that I'm making these socks out of. And with the FX, you get a subtle gradient change from color to color, and you can see that in this picture. And then there is Kroy stripes, which is self-striping yarn, so you get these pretty stripes like these socks. And finally, with the plain Kroy sock yarn, you get a simple solid color, which you can see in these socks. If you look on Ravelry, you'll see that Peyton's Kroy yarn has over 20,000 projects made out of it. The vast majority are socks, but you can also find some other projects like mittens, hats, and scarves. So that gives you a little idea of what people have been making with this yarn. And again, that yarn is Peyton's Kroy socks. Okay, the next yarn that I want to try out is Premier Yarn's Serenity sock. The colorway that I have here is called Surf, and it is a pretty combination of teal blue, lime green, and a little bit of pink in there. You can get this yarn for under $5 a skein, regular price, at Joann's and Michael's. It's 50% superwash merino, 25% bamboo, and 25% nylon. Now I think it's nice and soft, and it even has a little sheen to it from the bamboo. It's machine wash and tumble dry, so it's easy care. And each skein has 230 yards in 50 grams. So again, you'll need to buy 2 skeins in order to make an adult pair of socks. The yarn label recommends a US size 2 or 2.75 millimeter needle. And I think this is very nice yarn. It's very plush, silky, and squishy. I like that it has wool content for the moisture wicking properties, which will keep your feet dry and temperature regulated. The nylon adds strength, so your socks will be durable and last longer. And the bamboo might make the yarn a little more slippery, but will add to the softness and comfort, as well as temperature regulation and odor elimination. And it also should reduce pilling. So this is a really nice blend. and it comes in 18 different colors. Ratings of Serenity sock yarn range from about 3.5 to 5 stars on several different websites. Most people are giving it high ratings and say that it's good quality yarn that wears well and holds up after many washings. They like the easy care, machine washability, and it doesn't pill. Many people commented that they really enjoy knitting with it. The stitch definition is awesome and it's nice and soft to the touch. Those who gave it low ratings said that it had a lot of knots in it, and sometimes the dye was uneven in places, and it was difficult to make 2 matching socks with the stripes matching up. And a couple people were not aware that you had to buy 2 skeins to make a pair of socks. So be sure if you want to make a pair of socks out of it, you pick up 2 skeins. So let's take a look at some projects made out of Premier Yarn's Serenity sock so we can see how it knits up. On Ravelry, this is another popular yarn. There are over 20,000 projects made with it. Of course, it's no surprise that most of them are socks, so here are a few examples. Some are solid color, and some are striped. And then there are other projects like mittens and hats. And even this cute baby cardigan and booty set, and I love that. And again, that yarn is Premier Yarn's Serenity sock. Okay, the next sock yarn I picked up is Lion brand Sakhis. I really wanted to try this yarn because it's a nice wool blend yarn. It's 75% wool and 25% nylon, which is my favorite sock yarn blend. The colorway here is called Cotton Candy, which is mostly pink with a little bit of purple and green. It feels very similar to Opal and Regia yarns, so it seems like it will knit up some sturdy socks. I've also used the worsted weight Woolies yarn before, and I found that to be a decent yarn. I used to recommend that to students when they were first learning how to knit as an affordable yarn option because it's easy for beginning knitters to work with, and it makes nice scarves and hats. Plus, the Woolies sock yarn, just like the worsted weight yarn, is easy care. You can throw your projects into the washer and dryer and they'll be fine. The needle size recommendation is US size 2 or 2.75 millimeter. I also like this yarn because it comes in 100 gram skeins with 438 yards, so 1 skein should be plenty to make a pair of most adult socks. You don't have to buy 2 of them. The regular price runs around $10 for a skein at Joann's, but of course, like all of these yarns I'm talking about today, you can always shop sales and use coupons to get the cost down even more. From what I was able to find online, it doesn't look like Sakhis comes in very many colorways. At least I could only find about 7 colorways that are currently available. Some of them knit up into stripes, and some are solid. I was looking at the reviews of this yarn online, and it was getting around 4.5 stars. The majority were very positive, and people were reporting durability, beautiful colors, and a nice feeling yarn that softens up with washing. Although there were a few negative reviews, most of those indicated that the yarn was too scratchy. So this might be one that you want to feel for yourself to see what you think. I looked on Ravelry for some examples of projects people have made with this yarn, and here are some lovely socks. Not surprisingly, there are a ton of sock projects knit with this yarn. But there are also quite a few other types of projects like these mittens and these fingerless mitts. There are some hats and shawls and scarves. So this is quite a versatile yarn that people are using to make a lot of beautiful items with. And hopefully that gave you some ideas and inspiration. Again, this is Lion brand yarn's Sakhis. Okay, next up is another wool blend sock yarn, and this is Red Heart, Heart and Soul yarn. This particular colorway is called Jelly Beans, and I like it because it has so many colors in it. I mean, you have purple, blue, pink, yellow, and orange. This yarn comes in 13 different colorways. You can get it in either solid colors or variegated like this one. And it looks like the variegated ones knit up into kind of a micro striping effect like these socks, or you might get some pooling like in these socks. I mean, it's not stripes as pronounced as self-striping yarn because the color repeats are shorter, but it still can be a nice effect if this is the look that you like. I know that some people are not a fan of pooling where the colors collect in certain areas, so just be aware of this with the variegated colorways. This yarn runs around $7 regular price at Michael's and Joann's, but I had to order it online because apparently the stores don't carry it in person. Each skein is 50 grams and 187 yards, so this is another one where you'll need 2 skeins to complete an average adult pair of socks. The yarn label recommends a US size 2 or 2.75 millimeter needle. As far as online reviews of Heart and Soul yarn, it's getting in the 3.5 to 5 star range. Most ratings are on the positive side, saying that the yarn is nice to knit with, the colors are beautiful, socks made with it wear really well, they hold up nicely in the wash and retain their shape. People consider it to be sturdy, yet squishy and moderately soft, and you can make a variety of different things with it. There weren't a whole lot of very low ratings, but people who gave it around a 3-star rating said they were disappointed that their sock striping didn't match up again on a pair of socks, or that they didn't know that you had to buy 2 skeins to make a pair of socks. So nothing really about the quality of the yarn, but some issues that you should be aware of. In looking at projects made with this yarn on Ravelry, of course I saw a lot of sock projects like these and these. But there are a few other things like this shawl and these cute little cat toys. I also found these fun mittens and this adorable little baby surprise jacket. So this seems to be a nice versatile yarn that people are enjoying working with. And again, that is Red Heart, Heart and Soul sock yarn. Next in my craft store sock yarn haul is this yarn by Loops and Threads called Wool Like. This is an acrylic nylon blend. It's 85% acrylic and 15% nylon. So it doesn't have any wool in it for those who prefer purely synthetic fibers. It is only $3 per skein, regular price at Michael's, but right now it's on sale for $2.50. And with a 40% coupon, I think you could use that. You could get it for $1.50. Can you imagine a hand knit pair of socks for only $1.50? It comes in 21 different colors. This one is called Teal Lake, and they're all solid colors. It doesn't look like any are variegated. Each skein is 100 grams with 678 yards. So all you would need is 1 skein, and that would be well over the yardage requirements for an average pair of adult size socks. This yarn is very soft and squishy. It feels really nice. Now, because of its 100% synthetic composition, it's going to be strong as well. So you shouldn't have problems with breaking or fraying. According to the label, the recommended needle size is a US 2 or 2.75 millimeter. Now, I looked at the ratings of this yarn on the Michael's website, where it has over 300 ratings, and 94% of the ratings are 4 or 5 stars. So people are really liking this yarn. They love the vibrant colors and the generous yardage, and they're saying it's easy to work with and soft to the touch. The ones who are rating it low are mostly complaining that it has an unreasonable number of knots in it, so that's something to be aware of. Now let's take a look at Ravelry and get an idea of what kinds of projects people are making with this yarn. There are over 11,000 projects in this yarn, so I'd say it's another popular one. There are some socks like these, but not as many sock projects as you might expect. I did find a lot of other interesting projects like this beautiful baby cardigan. And look at this cute watermelon one. And this gorgeous shawl. And wow, what about this stunning lacy shawl? There were also quite a few stuffed animals like this adorable horse. And even a beautiful pullover sweater. So yeah, this is a nice versatile yarn that can be used in a lot of different types of projects. It's soft and pleasant to the touch. And if you're a person who prefers synthetics over wool, then this might be one that you really want to check out. And again, this is Wool-like sock yarn by Loops and Threads. All right, my last yarn for today is Premier Yarn's wool-free sock yarn. You can get this yarn at Walmart and Hobby Lobby. The regular price is around $4.50 per skein, and each skein is 50 grams and 235 yards. That means this is another one that you will have to buy 2 skeins to have enough yardage for an average size, adult size socks. It comes in 29 different colorways, and this one that I have here is called Berry Bush. It's really beautiful pinks and kind of a gray blue. I really love these colors together. It looks like 7 of the colorways are solid and the rest are stripes. So you could have a stripy pattern in your socks if you want, or a solid color. Now the needle size recommendation for this yarn is a US size 1 or 2.25 millimeter. It is 93% acrylic and 7% PBT, which stands for polybutylene terephthalate. And PBT is a synthetic fiber similar to spandex, which is very elastic. So you'll notice this yarn has quite a bit of stretch. And it should do a good job of keeping the shape of the socks or anything else you make out of it. It is machine wash and dry, so very easy care. Now, I found ratings for this yarn on several different websites, and the ratings were overwhelmingly positive. In fact, I didn't see any 1-star ratings or anything very low. Everything that I saw was 4 and 5 stars. The reviewers said they loved this yarn, it knits up great, and wears well. They liked the fact you could just throw it in the washer and dryer. People had used it to knit socks for homeless shelters, and it worked out really well for that. Some people had used it for multiple pairs of socks and were very happy with it. If anyone had a complaint, it was the number of knots in a skein, but they still gave it a 4-star rating anyway. So, like all of these yarns I've talked about today, it's an inexpensive yarn, so you might have to deal with a few knots, but overall it's a great value. So yeah, if you're looking for a purely synthetic yarn for socks, this one would be a good one to consider. Let's take a look at some completed projects in this yarn. I went over to Ravelry and looked up what people have made with it, and as you would expect, there are a lot of sock projects, and they're really beautiful. I'll put some pictures up here of socks in different colorways so you can get an idea of how the different colors knit up. All the sock projects I could find were in striping colorways, but I did find these crocheted preemie hats that show off some of the solid colors that are available. I also found this cute baby romper. There were a few shawls made out of this yarn, like this one, and look at this beautiful beaded one. I also saw some fingerless gloves and hats. So the overwhelming majority of projects in this yarn were socks, but you can see it's pretty versatile and can be used in a wide variety of projects. And again, that is Wool-Free Sock Yarn by Premier Yarns. And that is the last yarn I have for you today. This has been a review of 6 sock yarns from the big craft stores. And now it's time for you to go down to the comment section and share your experiences with these yarns. Have you used any of them before? What'd you make with them? Did you enjoy using it or have any issues with it? Or if it's new to you, do you think you might pick some up and try it out? What's your favorite craft store sock yarn? Let me know your thoughts down below. You know I always read your comments and enjoy hearing from you. Well, that brings us to the end of today's show. I hope you enjoyed this review of different craft store sock yarns. As always, I will include links to everything I talked about today in the information box below. Just be sure to click on Show More to open up the box, and you'll see all the links there. Please also let me know in the comment section if you have any questions about today's show, ideas for future show topics, or product tests. I'm always adding to my list, and I love interacting with you. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. For next week, I thought I would do one last show in my Big Box Bargain series if you'd like to see a little bit more. I picked up some what I consider workhorse yarns that can be used in a variety of projects, and they are really a good value. So I hope you'll come back and join me for that discussion and review next week. And in the meantime, stay smart and have a sparkly week. Bye, everybody.